Today in the news from Mary's Nest, we're going to talk all about bone broth, specifically beef bone broth. What I think the best bones are, what they cost, and what did I really think of using beef feet to make bone broth. Hi sweet friends, I'm Mary and welcome to Mary's Nest, where I teach traditional cooking skills for making nutrient-dense foods like bone broths and sourdough and ferments and more. So if you enjoy learning about those things, be sure to subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click on the little notification bell below. That'll let you know every time I upload a new video. Well, as many of you are familiar with, over the last month or so, we have been discussing a lot about bone broth, specifically beef bone broth, and how to make a nice gelatinous beef bone broth. And we've tried different combinations, and what we've found is that those oxtails really do make a nice gelatinous bone broth, but they can be a little costly. So we started a discussion about beef feet. Now, I did not have access to beef feet, but I went on a search for them and I found them. So I made bone broth with beef feet, and I'll link to that video, and it did come out very gelatinous. And I was very, very pleased with the end product. I also used neck bones because they are meaty bones, and it allowed to bring some nice color as well as nice flavor to the final product. But there's only one drawback that I have found in using beef feet. My concern with the beef feet that I used was that I found them at an ethnic grocery store. So they weren't grass-fed, they weren't organic, and I really had no way of knowing the origin of those beef feet. But the nice thing about the beef feet was that I did purchase 4 pounds for about $10. So that is very easy on the budget. However, what I'm going to do going forward is, and especially because I live in Central Texas and I live in the hill country, as I've shared with you, and there are a lot of ranches around here, I'm going to talk to some local ranchers who have their cattle, grazing out on the range and are basically, pastured. I don't know specifically organic. I will talk to them about that. And those that I meet at the farmer's market, I'll definitely talk to them about that. But I may try and see if I can get beef feet from them. That way I know the source, and I would feel much more comfortable going forward about using beef feet on a regular basis. So cost has definitely played a factor in all of this, in our discussion about making beef bone broth. Because if we can find those feet and use those feet, it definitely lowers the cost of making the bone broth. And that brings us back to one of the questions that we had discussed earlier was, in previous chats that we've been having in the comments and whatnot, is it better just to buy it at the store? Is store-bought bone broth better than what we can make homemade? And I'm going to get to that in a minute because I bought some from the store, and I'm going to show it to you in comparison to and to a sample of what we made here in my kitchen, homemade. And it is different, and the ingredients are different. But let's discuss that in a minute, because I do want to cover getting back to the feet and what bones that I really like when it comes down to making a good quality, nutritious, and gelatinous bone broth. And that brings me to U.S. Wellness Meats. Because I know a lot of you have asked me when you're watching my videos where I'm making the beef bone broth, where do I get my bones? And I've shared with you, I do get some at the grocery store, I get some at the specialty grocery stores, I buy some at the farmer's market, but for consistent, good quality, organic, grass-fed bones, I really like ordering them from U.S. Wellness Meats. They have a great selection, and I'm never disappointed, and I always wind up making a high-quality bone broth. And I have not seen feet, but I have not seen feet on their website, but I'm going to ask them about this and see if maybe they'll carry feet, which will be nice. But all of that said, I know some of you have been concerned about the cost of the bones, whether you're buying them at the grocery store, or a specialty store, or the farmer's market, or ordering them from U.S. Wellness Meats. And I have good news. U.S. Wellness Meats has given me a coupon code, a promo code, to give to my viewers to pass on to you. And it's for 15% off regularly priced items in your order. And I will put a link in the description below that along with the promo code where you'll go to put in your order and get your 15% off discount. So I'm very excited about this because we don't need to worry about waiting for coupon codes or promo codes that come to us via email from US Wellness Meats or their specials and so on and so forth. Now we'll have an ongoing promo code that we can use and get a nice 15% discount off of regularly priced items. And that's not just bones. US Wellness Meats sells wonderful things. They sell steaks and chicken feet, which we will definitely be discussing chicken feet in another video. So I just wanted to share that with you. So be sure to check them out. I think you'll really like the company. I've been ordering from them for years, and I'm just so pleased with them. But now I want to get back to the cost of bone broth, and what is the cost when we make it homemade, and what is the cost when we buy it store-bought. Now, before we even talk about price, we need to talk about quality. Now, this is homemade bone broth that I just made yesterday, and it's nicely chilled in the fridge, and as you'll see, it's very gelatinous. And the aroma is wonderful, and I know from all of my previous batches, the taste will be great too. And I'll put in a close-up picture so you can really see how gelatinous this is, but hopefully you can get a good look of it here too. So this is what was homemade. Now, how much do I get, and about how much does it cost? Now, when I made this with the beef feet, and I'll link to that video because the beef feet, as I said, there were 4 pounds of beef feet for $10. I also added in about a pound of neck bones for another $10. And the reason I like to add the neck bones is they're meaty bones, and I roast them, and they give good color and good flavor. You really need something more, in my humble opinion, than just the beef feet. Now, that said, this is an unusual batch of bone broth because we use the beef feet, which are less expensive than some of the other bones. But for about $20, I was able to get almost a gallon of bone broth, of beef bone broth. And it was very gelatinous. This is the one that was made with the feet. Very gelatinous, wonderful aroma, wonderful taste. And for about $20, almost 1 gallon. And the vegetables and stuff, that's kind of, insignificant. So we'll say $20. And I highly recommend adding neck bones or some type of meaty bone because it does impart good color and flavor. But so you take $20 divided by 16 cups because I got about a gallon of broth from those 5 pounds of bones. And so a gallon, 16 cups, and we divide that into $20. So that works out to be about $1.25 a cup, or $1.25 per 8 ounces. So that's very affordable, definitely compared to the one that I bought at the store. Now, this is a little more than 8 ounces. It's about 9 ounces and change. But as you can already see, I just took this out of the refrigerator. It's not gelatinous. We're going to open it and pour it out. But it's not gelatinous. So I didn't like that because it wasn't gelatinous when I saw it at the store, but it's on the shelf. It's been pressure canned, to stay fresh on the shelf. But I put this in my refrigerator, and I've had this in my refrigerator for a good week. It is not gelled up. And the ingredients, which kind of concern me, it says the first ingredient is beef broth. And it says water, beef broth made from bones. Okay. Then it says beef extract. I don't know what beef extract is. Then apple cider vinegar. Okay, some people like to use apple cider vinegar. I prefer to use fortified wine, but that's fine. And then we've got sea salt, sugar. I don't like that, sugar. Onion powder, tomato powder, yeast extract. Not comfortable with that. Cooked vegetables. Now, why would they maybe because they were cooked in making the broth. Okay. Carrot, onion, celery. Already, that's legitimate. Garlic powder. Not crazy about that because I've discussed with you in the past how I feel about simmering garlic in bone broth for so many hours like that. It can put in a bit of an off taste. Then we've got salt. I don't like that because I think that it's better to add the salt when you're ready to drink it. Well, maybe now we'll let them have that, though, salt, since they're assuming you're just going to pour this out and warm it up and drink it. But this is where the problems begin. Corn oil. Really? In beef bone broth? Corn oil? Why was that necessary? Potato flour? No. Black pepper, period. That's fine. And then some ingredient, I don't even know what it is. Oloricin. I don't even know how to pronounce it. And then carrot powder. Now, they're probably adding the carrot powder to give it some color because maybe if they were just using bones, because they said beef broth made with bones, maybe they weren't meaty bones. I'm not sure. But so as compared to homemade, which is just your bones, water, your vegetables, your bay leaf, your peppercorns, and then some sort of acid to acidulate the water, whether you use a little vinegar or a fortified wine like I like to use. We have a lot simpler ingredients because I'm not comfortable with beef extract, yeast extract, the garlic powder. I would have left that out. But what I find very troubling is corn oil and potato flour. I don't understand those. And then finally, the olorocin. I don't even know what that is. I'm not comfortable with this. And it's not gelatinous. So, but I'm going to open this up. I'm going to have to call in reinforcements to help me open this. And we'll give it a pour so I can show you exactly how it looks. So I've opened this one. You see, just watery. And as you can see from the bottle, see, I just got this out of the refrigerator. And I don't like the aroma. It has a very strong, like an odd carrot aroma, and maybe that's because of the carrot powder that they add. Yeah, it's got a very odd aroma compared to this one. This smells like beef. This smells like beef bone broth, what I expect it to smell like. Now, I know this is cold, but I'll do this for you. I'll take a sip. This is very interesting. Remember I said there's potato powder in here, which I'm not quite sure why they added that ingredient. This tastes like potato water. I taste the potatoes. And that's what I'm smelling now. It's not just the carrot, it's the potato. How unusual. It's not horrible, but it's not bone broth, at least not to me. And this was basically $3. I think it was $2.98 for a little more than 9 ounces. And it's not gelatinous. It doesn't taste like bone broth. It doesn't smell like bone broth. It sort of tastes more like a carrot, potato, vegetable broth. So I just feel bottom line is there's no comparison. So for about $3 for a little more than 9 ounces, this is what you'll get at the store. Now, if you use the beef feet, and don't worry, we're going to talk about the other bones too, because that's an excellent point. I know you're all raising that, saying, yes, Mary, but with the other bones, it's going to be more expensive. And that is true. But if you are, but you know from the past of all the bone broths we've made, they always, regardless of what we use, they come out, nice and gelatinous like this with a nice beef aroma. So $3 versus about $1.25 a cup. I think definitely in this case, homemade is better. And now I know some of you might also be saying, oh yes, but there are better sources of bone broth at the grocery store and so on and so forth. And there may be, but the reason that I picked this particular brand was when I read all the ingredients of the bone broths that were available at my grocery store, this one was actually the most natural of the selection. And what I like about comparing this one from the grocery store to this one made with the feet, neither of these were grass-fed or organic. So a non-organic, non-grass-fed beef bone broth from the grocery store, about $3 for a little more than a cup. And homemade, again, non-organic, non-grass-fed bone broth, very gelatinous, not watery, for about $1.25 a cup. So clearly, now granted, yes, you have the electricity and so on and so forth and the work involved at making it homemade, but I think that's a small price to pay given the end product, especially if you're drinking this on a daily or relatively regular basis. Homemade is definitely going to be the way to go. Now, what if we're doing it homemade and we're going all out with grass-fed, organic, fabulous bones, either from your specialty grocery store or your local rancher, your farmer's market, or U.S. Wellness Meats? You've got the cream of the crop bones. What does that cost? And what does that come out to be cost per cup? Now, if you want to compare apples to apples, and we'll talk about 5 pounds of bones and a mixture of bones. And as you know, my favorite combination is to use neck bones instead of shanks. Shanks can be a little expensive. They're nice meaty bones. I won't deny that. I love them, and when they're on sale, I buy them. But on a regular basis, I do like to go with the neck bones. And so, because they're meaty bones and they're going to give nice color and nice flavor to your broth. And really good quality grass-fed organic neck bones are going to run you, about $8 or so a pound. Now, I want to mention that when we were discussing this, the neck bones, the reason I said about $10 for the neck bones was because you could make this actually for even less than $1.25 a cup. But the only neck bones I had, because the only place that I've been able to find them are from U.S. Wellness Meats. So this technically was partially organic and grass-fed because I was using neck bones from U.S. Wellness Meats, and I was using a little more than a pound. So because you can't always get exact, So I just estimated and said, $10. But you could even make this less. You could have your beef feet, your 4 pounds of beef feet for $10, and you could probably get another pound of neck bones at your grocery store that are not grass-fed, not organic, for about $3 a pound. So that's going to really bring this price down. But as I said, I wanted to talk about the best of the best, because if we're going to be drinking this every day, we want to know what is the level of quality of the bones and the source of the bones that we're using. But I did want to address this if this is good and comfortable for your budget, because often the bottom line is, are we making bone broth and are we drinking bone broth and are we making something that's in our budget? However, with a nice coupon code from U.S. Wellness Meats, it's making it a little more attractive to be able to buy nice organic grass-fed bones. So I just have my paper here, the prices. So for about $8, you'll get some really good quality grass-fed organic neck bones. And then, if you do shop around for them or you get them at U.S. Wellness Meats with the discount code, you can bring that price down. So that's the one set of bones you'd have for making the grass-fed organic beef bone broth. And then the next set of bones that I like to add are some kind of marrow bones. And the reason that I add those is the marrow bones do contain collagen, and the acidulated water will help extract the collagen out. But I also like them for the marrow, which you can whip into your bone broth, and it's very nutritious. And top quality, wonderful marrow bones are going to run you about $8 a pound. But let's say we put in about 1.5 pounds of neck bones, 1.5 pounds of marrow bones. That'll bring us up to about 3 pounds, or maybe a little more than that. These are estimates. And assuming that I'm going to be making this in a 10-quart slow cooker or a 10-quart stock pot, I may actually go a little higher on the marrow bones and a little higher on the neck bones. So maybe I would try to get a combination of 4 pounds altogether. So, maybe 2 pounds of neck bones, maybe 2 pounds of marrow bones. And the reason is the last bones that I like to add in to the bone broth are the ones that are a little more expensive, but you don't need a lot. And those are the oxtails. So I'd want to have maybe 2 pounds of the neck bones and 2 pounds of the marrow bones, and then 1 pound of the oxtails. And at least at U.S. Wellness Meats, I know some of you have told me that at your local grocery stores and whatnot, oxtails, are very, very expensive, really, outside of many people's budgets. But I'm just going to use the price from U.S. Wellness Meats because I know that that's organic and grass-fed. And a pound of oxtails are going to run you about $10.50. So you're going to have your 2 pounds of neck bones, maybe that's going to be about $16. Then you're going to have your 2 pounds of marrow bones, which those are, $7 to $8 a pound. So, but we'll just round it up. We'll say about $16. So far, you're $32. You've got $32 of bones, and then you're going to add another $10.50 for the oxtails. So all told, you've got about $42 worth of bones. And the next question is, how many batches are we going to get out of those bones? Just like with using the feet, I'm confident that yes, at $1.25 what it cost me, because I was using the more expensive neck bones, this would be even less than $1.25 a cup using non-grass-fed, not organic neck bones. And then you're going to get multiple batches, as I understand, using these the beef feet. So it really brings down the price considerably. But now, when we switch to all organic, all grass-fed, and no beef feet, I have found from my experimentations, and I'll link to my videos about perpetual bone broth, that using those oxtails, sometimes you can get 2 to 3 batches of bone broth out of one set of bones, where you've got neck bones, marrow bones, and oxtails. 2, maybe 3 batches. So that's going to bring the price down as well. But anyways, we'll start with batch number 1, looking at about $42. Now, it's nice if we have the coupon code and we are able to shave that price down a little. That's helpful. But, for argument's sake, we'll just start with the $42. So that's 5 pounds of bones, 2 pounds of neck bones, 2 pounds of marrows, 1 pound of oxtails. And we're going to make that in a 10-quart slow cooker or stock pot. And then say when everything's said and done and we've made that bone broth with the first batch of grass-fed organic bones, and it's cost $42 for the initial investment, and we get a gallon of bone broth, approximately. So what does that cost per cup? So if we take the $42, divide it by 16 cups, which is what's in a gallon, we're looking at about, and my husband helped me with the math, $2.63. But we'll just round it and say $2.60 per 8-ounce cup. So that's still less expensive than the $3, the $2.98 I paid for this. And this is a little more than a cup. It's about 9 ounces. But for argument's sake, in terms of the quality that we're going to get from the homemade bone broth, that's organic and grass-fed and gelatinous, and we know what's in it, and it doesn't have potato starch and different things like that in it, and corn oil, there's really no comparison. So it's nice to know that we're paying about $2.63 a cup. And we may actually be able to bring that price down if we save the bones and make a second batch. And usually, if you've got oxtails in the mix, you're going to get a nice gelatinous second batch. Maybe even a third batch. It really depends on the oxtails and how they hold up and whatnot. But even for the first batch, for $2.63 a cup, we're doing better than what we can get at the grocery store. Plus, we're making a better product. So hands down, beef bone broth made at home with the best bones you can find definitely wins over what you can buy at the store. At least what I could find at my grocery store, which I considered was the best bone broth that was offered, best store-bought bone broth that was offered. Homemade definitely wins the day. If you'd like to learn more about traditional foods cooking and how to make bone broth, be sure to subscribe to my channel and then click on this video over here where I show you how to make a nice gelatinous beef bone broth from start to finish. And I'll see you over there in my Texas Hill Country Kitchen. Love and God bless.